penetration testing, depending on the different domains of the industry that we are dealing, that we are providing, that we are conducting penetration testing towards them. Here are some commonly used penetration testing methodologies. Those are well known in the industry sector, including OWSP and NIST. Penetration testing methodologies are a kind of approach that provides you a structured way of conducting penetration testing in a very systematic way approach, and try to assess and evaluate the security control of the systems, networks, and applications. OWSP is an open web application security project. This is a well-known methodology and is utilized mostly by the web application penetration testing. And it is very good methodology and also provides you with risk calculation and impact on any particular vulnerability that you might find in the infrastructure. NIST also, National Institute of Standards and Technology, provide different special publication, they call it SP, that provide you guidance for different domain of sectors within the industry. Those are more for advanced and more experienced professionals within the cybersecurity that are conducting penetration testing. But OWSP works well, but also EC Council, ethical hacking through ethical hacking methodology can be utilized and be very useful for your own needs. And as we mentioned, all the steps of reconnaissance, which is about gathering information and includes the different techniques, gathering information about the target, identify IP ranges, networks, subnets, domains, and whatever is your task that you're trying to address and handle within the process of penetration testing. As we mentioned, in the vulnerability scanning and analysis phase of penetration testing, the objective is to identify potential vulnerabilities in the target system, network, or application, or whatever the target that we are trying to assess and evaluate the security controls. This involves conducting different scans using different automated or manual tools, techniques to uncover security weaknesses, vulnerabilities. As we mentioned, tools like can be done through tools like Nessus, OpenVAS, Nikto, Nmap, whatever you prefer. It helps to identify potential vulnerabilities and those entry points in the target by conducting a deep inspection. It helps us very much, those vulnerability scanning and analyzing techniques, to prioritize those vulnerabilities based on severity, potential impact, and exploitability that might have. You can do this by using tools like OWSP that we mentioned, Risk Rating Calculator. You can Google it. That OWSP Risk Rating Calculator helps you very much to evaluate and prioritize the vulnerabilities based on the severity, potential impact, and their exploitability. It helps you to make such a kind of evaluation of ranking based on the risk. And the most important is document all identified vulnerabilities. The third penetration testing phase, as we mentioned, is vulnerability assessment, in which the testers uses all the data gathered to that point and in the reconnaissance first step and the scanning phases to identify potential vulnerabilities and determine whether they can be exploited or not. Penetration testers use many resources, as we mentioned, CV, NVD, those can be, or exploit -DB, those can be those sources that are very important to help us and equip us with more insights in a particular vulnerability that we might have identified. Exploitation and gaining access, as we explained, In this penetration testing phase, the penetration tester attempts to access the target system and exploit the identified vulnerabilities. Typically by using tools like Metasploit to simulate real-world attacks. Maybe Metasploit is much more for much more advanced and much more experienced penetration tester, but could serve as a tool to simulate such kind of real-world attacks. And with Metasploit, you can do a lot of exploitation. But be careful and keep in mind your ethical hacking. Try not to do so much exploitation on the vulnerabilities, because exploitation is considered hacking, because you are using a vulnerability and try to gain access through that vulnerability. That is typically hacking. Once the exploitation phase is complete, the tester prepares a report, as we mentioned, and which is only main deliverables within the penetration testing processes, projects, activities. A report documenting the penetration test findings. Building a penetration testing report requires to have clearly documenting vulnerabilities on each steps that you have conducted, information gathering, scanning, analysis, assessment, exploitation, and so on, and putting them into a context so that the organization that you are providing that penetration testing can remediate its security risks, those vulnerabilities, weaknesses that you have considered as security risks for that particular organization, company, agency. The most useful reports include sections that are mainly for a detailed outline of uncovered vulnerabilities. And it is very important to include those elements of CVSS scores, severity, those kind of elements. A business impact assessment, it is very important to describe very shortly what could be that impact of within the business if those vulnerabilities are not remediated. Remediation advice, those are the advice that you can guide, you try to guide the organization through those changes that needs to be made. And strategic recommendations, or you call it maybe countermeasures or security measures or fixes, how to fix those vulnerabilities. Those are very important parts within the penetration testing reports to be included. A penetration testing report without the recommendation, countermeasures, or fixes is not considered a penetration testing report. This is a main part where you, as a security professional, as a cybersecurity, as a penetration tester professional, you guide the organization through the process of remediating, fixing those. You can utilize different tools, different platforms to write those, to define those reports. Microsoft Word, Google Docs. There is one tool, Vulnerable. You have a link here. It's very quite useful tool and helps you to automate some part of the gathering information for particular CVE vulnerability. And it will collect for you in one place all those information that you have gathered step by step within the process of penetration testing. Penetration testing tools. As we have mentioned further down during this webinar, penetration testing tools helps to conduct such comprehensive, thorough assessment of the security of systems, networks, and applications. Here is an overview of some commonly used penetration testing tools across different types or categories of penetration testing, as we described in the first place. We have a network scanning and enumeration, where we can utilize Nmap, Nessus, OpenVAS. At the exploitation, we mentioned very important one, a Metasploit framework. And on web application, OWSP, ZAP, Burp Suite, Nikto, who is more, anyone who is more focused on writing commands and scripts,